Yes, people. Yes, Passat man. I can see the comment, mate. I can see the comment. Hope we're all good. Just bear with me 1 minute. Let me try and work this out here. Here we go. Guys, got to be easier ways of doing this than on your phone. I should hit the chat. There we go. Right, men, how are we? JP, Tim, great to join us as well, mate. Really appreciate it.
Fair play to you, boys. Fair play to you. Nice one, Tim.
Yeah, good to see you. We've got him. We've got Passat, Conan, Cares. Big up, people. I ain't got a clue who's watching, how many people we've got in, but it doesn't really matter, boys, does it? We know how we go. So last week we didn't have the Sunday squad. It's been a couple of weeks. Spoiler alert: nothing came home. That's why we weren't here last week. Hopefully we'll have Liam jumping on if he can do soon as well. We'll see if the general links there in the chat, guys. So if anyone does want to come on and join us, feel free. So yeah, how we doing, man? We good?
Yeah. Good, not too bad.
Yeah.
Tim, there's a few people, mate, who might not know who you are and a bit about yourself. Do you want to give like a few minutes just to let the viewers, let the people know who you are and what you're about?
Yeah, no problem. Just first off, it's nice to be on here with good people. Let's put it that way. JP and James, you're solid people, honestly. So thanks for having me on. And just, I'll brush over it really quick. So I'm ex-military. I served 10 years in the military. I'm a security contractor in my work. So I have worked abroad in most countries across the world. And I work in the UK now, especially in London, looking after clients, making sure they're safe, obviously, because of the obvious threats we have in London, especially with everything. And I was a volunteer fighting against ISIS outside the military as well, just because I felt passionate about that. I felt sick to my stomach when I saw women and children getting killed, you know. It might not be here, but it was abroad, but still, you know, there's no justification for that behaviour. So that's what I did. And I'm obviously do a bit of fighting in my old age. I'm 42 soon, for fuck's sake. But do a bit of fighting from bare knuckle, 4-ounce gloves to boxing gloves. So yeah, just here to really make a little impact on this earth to the people around me. That's the most important thing. So
fair play, mate. And big respect to you, mate, as well. I know from we've spoken a bit, and you know, from knowing what you've been through yourself and your past and your own struggles and everything else as well, to what you've actually gone on and accomplished yourself, mate, is hats off to you, you know. We need more Tim Scotts in the world is what we need. So big up, brother, and I appreciate you.
Passat man is a funny man, isn't he?
Passat's, mate, fucking 46 this week. I was, or last week when it was. 46. So it creeps up on all of us, Tim. So fair play, brother. You're still there doing your thing, and do you know what I mean? Big respect, man. Big respect.
No, thank you.
So there's a couple of bits this week, and obviously it's a couple of weeks since we've been live, but a couple of bits this week before we get on to the old dark corner and recap, because there's so much that's gone on, people coming back and lots happening. So in terms of what went on Thursday night, so I don't know how many people are kind of aware, but quite close to home to me. It's only like 40 minutes up the road. Thursday night, Hare Hill Leeds, there was a massive kick-off rioting, a bit of what went on. So from what I've been told about what happened, different stuff that I've seen, is there was a Roma family in the community who there was an issue where one of the children had been allegedly dropped out of a window, and I think it was from other children, bigger children, but the parents weren't there. The authorities turned up along with social services to remove all the children from the property, and in doing so, obviously caused a big ruckus within the community as such. So they ended up with a double-decker bus getting burnt down, police vans overturned. The police were chased off the housing estate, off the community. But what I found quite interesting about it is the fact that it started off as quite a small thing. And as well, just so you know, where I live, not where I am here, but where I live in Hull, there's 13 houses on my crescent where I live. I'm just in a 2 up, 2 down end terrace. There's 13 houses on my crescent, and I think 4 are Romanian families who get on perfectly well with. There's some really good people. Everything Nigerian, Polish, you know, all different nationalities. I think there's only 3 or 4 of the 13 that are English, British as such. So it's obviously the whole like situation at the minute in the UK and Ireland as well, JP, is getting bigger and bigger, and to me it's getting out of hand. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're not just talking about the illegal immigration, but the legal immigration as well that's happening in this country is crazy, you know. I'm sure Tim will come back on. We'll get him back on in a minute. So I wanted to touch on it and sort of see what your thoughts are on it, JP. It's something I'm passionate about. There's a lot that's gone on in this country over the course of the last sort of 2-3 decades, where it's just not like British culture's disappeared. You know, there isn't that anymore. You're made to feel like if you speak up, or just one sec, if you speak up or you've got anything to say, a lot of people think that you're far right or you're racist or you're this or that, which couldn't be further from the truth as far as I'm concerned. You know, it's not about that. It's about what is passed on to our children through education, through the education system. But I'm just fed up of being made out that we're sort of tarred because we're British, and we're like, it's almost like nowadays you're not allowed to be proud of your own heritage and who you are and history and everything else, which in this country it's full of, you know. And throughout the UK, you know, there's been some massive things come from the UK. You wouldn't have bicycles, cars, aeroplanes. I mean, just to kick it off, you know, I mean, there's so much that's come from this little area of UK and Ireland, which I think isn't celebrated anymore. And I know and I'll shut up in a minute. I'll get this bit out and I'll shut up, let you boys talk. But I know from myself, like, my lad went into reception year, 5 years old, and I got a letter out from the school saying that he's going to start his sex education curriculum. And I'm like, how can they be doing sex education in school? He's 5 years old at reception school in primary. And then the way the education as well is going, they're talking about with our children that there's this like dark history within Britain, and you know, and what they don't explain. So going into things like the slave trade and historical events and bits and pieces, but there's things that they don't explain. And things like, you know, there was the slave trade, but then also you got people like from my town, William Wilberforce, who was one of the main figures to stop and abolish slavery. And what they don't tell you is that Britain and the UK spent far more money abolishing slavery than it ever made from the slave trade itself. And you can't forget the fact that after it was abolished and we were policing it, it was still carrying on in Africa for a long time afterwards, you know. So there's these things which annoys me, that we all get tired with this, you know, British, you've got to apologise and keep apologising for what's gone on in the past, when there's nobody alive today that is or has been directly affected by it, you know, on either side. So these things just fucking frustrate me, boys. You know, it just frustrates me. And there's so many factors that I worry about for my boy and him coming through. And I mean, man, my niece and nephew are 19 and 22. And I see how they are when the whole sort of, there was the Black Lives Matter came along and everything else. And I see sort of the way that they'd been programmed through education and everything else. And it just worries me when you've got children at 5 years old in a reception year at primary, that you're getting a letter out as a parent saying that they're going to start the sex education curriculum and all this. I think it's fucking mental, and stuff needs to change. But I'm going to stop ranting now and let you boys have your say. Who wants to kick off?
Go on, Tim. What's away, brother?
Sure, yeah. I feel your frustration. I'm sure many people do. Like, and we've seemed to have got to this crossroads where we can't talk. We're not allowed to say anything. Do you know what I mean? And without being persecuted. And it's not like it's written in the rule books that we're going to be persecuted. It's literally people will tell your work, and then you find yourself out of a job, then your family are suffering just because of expressing their opinion. And I always say to people, because I've travelled around the world, I always say to people, don't ever be so naive to think just because Russia, for example, may do some, you know, may have some crazy laws that people would see as not freedom. Don't think that that doesn't exist here, because it exists here under this sort of like fabrication that it's not a written rule, but it's society's needs written by the government, which is crazy when you think about it. Because I'm pretty sure, I'm 100% sure, all of us here, we don't hate people. We want people, if they're going to come here, to succeed and do well and contribute. But the problem is when they don't, and areas become almost overtaken, if that's a word, but you know, overtaken and ruled by a different culture, there will be problems. It's as simple as that. You know, I'm from East London, right? So you guys can, yeah, it's a very multicultural area. We have people here that are in their 60s, 70s who do not speak English. They've been here 50 years. Like, this is a real problem, you know, and I'm not saying that if you speak English, you know, it's everything's sorted. I'm just saying that there's so many issues in this, and it's difficult. And I speak to my mates that are like Caribbean heritage that are British and stuff like that. Like in London, we're in boxing gyms together, we spar each other, we're like best mates, and they agree. Do you know what I mean? Because they're British as well, you know, and they're agreeing this ain't right. So what I saw in Leeds, though, I must say, is just, in my opinion, the start of something that's going to get bigger. And I'll leave it to JP to obviously talk about Ireland there, but Ireland now has its issues, which it didn't as much before, but now they've had an onslaught of immigration. Why? Who's controlling this, and what's the reason for it? And for me, just before I hand over to JP, sorry lads, but for me, the main element of this is about control. Because if you have a patriotic society, you have a powerful people in society that can question everything the government does. When you have a people that are just divided, then you can't question the government. We live in a polite dictatorship. I'll hand it over to you, JP. Sorry, lads.
Nice one, Tim.
No, it's
I'm
good.
passionate now.
Well, as you said there, James and Tim, like, you go into these things, but there's a lot of people in this country been labelled far right and racist for speaking up about certain situations, right? And that's far from the case. Like integration, if you're going to integrate people into society, that works both ways. It's not just we have to fall for integration for everyone else coming into the country. There has to be a give and a take and a balance for everything. When you're made feel like a minority in your homeland, that's when things are getting touchy. And if you try to speak up, you're classed as far right or you're racist. And as Tim and all them says, they're like, there's coloured people that I train with, like Tim, and there's coloured people, good friends of mine and coaches. it's not racism. It's you want to make sure that domestic issues are okay before anyone else can come in and benefit from society on this part of the country, like, you know what I mean? Or this part of the planet. But like, does European, I don't know, you're not part of Europe anymore. Like, you're not, technically, you're not part of the European Union anymore, aren't you not?
Damage was done
No.
though, mate. The damage, but what's crazy about that is they did the referendum for Brexit to leave Europe, and obviously a big part of that was immigration. You've said the key thing there, integration, because to me you can't have immigration without integration. That's the key, that's the key thing, and the damage was done. But now, even with Labour coming into power now, it's still going to be an open border policy, and you've got 740 plus thousand immigrants coming into the UK every year, and it's unsustainable. It is unsustainable. Like Tim said there about communities that don't speak English. There's entire communities in and around all up the northwest to the northeast, that don't speak a word of English, and it's worrying, it's worrying because more and more it's going to happen. I've seen videos as well, like before it gets too controversial, but I've seen videos in this last couple of days of immigrants, both Ireland and in the UK, putting out things over social media, basically saying all immigrants go, spread your seed, bed as many UK women as you possibly can, basically, and that's the mentality.
James, well, you're on that subject here. There's a situation going on in this country at the minute where there's one Jamaican-born national telling immigrants to pick up their knives against the Irish, get runners out of our houses, sleep with our women, like we're saying there. That is a man from the immigration side of things trying to incite violence, not the other way around. If that was me on the internet with 100,000 people saying, pick up your knives against all immigrants, I'd be done for hate speech crimes. Do you understand? That's a big thing over here now, is if you speak out, you're a racist and there's hate speech. This fella here is doing it, telling all immigrants to pick up their knives and defend themselves against us, the savage Irish, which are not like saying anything, not saying much really, or there'll be bigger things in the news about it. Do you understand? So like, what's the narrative like? We have to be silenced in our own in our own land. We have to be silenced and fall into place. And if anyone else has any different opinions, we can't say anything or we're racist. Do you understand?
The problem, I think the problem is, as well, as it's come about over such a long period of time, and historically, there's been like different incidents that have gone on, which has shaped it to the point that it is today. So you've got to remember, like in the UK, you had like Labour, who used to be left wing, you had Conservatives who were right wing, and now they're both pretty much central, So you've got two sides of the same coin. So as long as you've got Labour or Conservative in power, it'll be an open border policy. It's gonna be a shit show, and the only way around that really is by getting more proportionate representation, let's say, within Commons and within Parliament, which at the minute that's the big problem compared to the voters. Like a referendum's fine, isn't it? Because you do a referendum and you're voting for or against, and that's pretty much it. But with the way that politics is, even though so many people turned out and voted reform, as an example, the actual amount of seats is minimal. So they need to sort out this disproportionate representation within Parliament to be able to make the bigger decisions and move forward. But what's your thoughts in terms of, because I'll just say how it is. One of the things with Harehill, there's a couple of things. There were no arrests on Thursday night, despite police getting bricked, double-decker buses set alight, or everything that kicked off. there was no arrests. And like I say, it started off with this Roma family within a community, but the 52% of that community is Muslim. And if you watch the videos that have come about from the crowd, you'll notice that that's not just Romanian people there who are taking up a grudge because this family had the services turn up in terms of the kids. Do you know what I mean? So a lot of people has jumped onto a bandwagon and taken an opportunity to throw out at the establishment, basically. That's how I see it, you know. And
it's frustration, James. The same thing happened here in Ireland, in Dublin. It's frustration. The government is failing the country, and the people are revolting. They had the first opportunity to revolt there, and they've done it. They seen an opportunity, they took it to vent their frustration towards the government. Happened here in Ireland, the same thing. Same thing.
If you remember the sorry, Joe. Sorry, go on, mate.
No, go on, Tim. No, go on, buddy.
Just that reminds me, if you remember the London riots, do you remember that?
Yeah.
And that was sparked literally over nothing. And I think we're even further down the road from that. You know what I mean? Like, people are awake, people understand. Like, you look at Ireland, you look at the UK, people are seriously awake. And like JP said there, that's all it takes, a strike of a match, and it goes. And that's horrible as a father. Do you know what I mean? To think that. It's horrible to prepare in your mind, especially like in somewhere like London. I don't live on the outskirts. I live like right in East London. You know, we have a bag packed in case we've got to do one. Sounds crazy to people, but this shit's real. You know, like it's. And I think the awakening of, especially in the UK more so, people are taken for granted that we're going to be okay. It'll never happen to us. It'll be all right. A war won't start here. It's coming, whether it's civil war, whether it's outside forces, you know, and that's not to scare people, but just so people are a bit more awake, you know, and understanding. And I really hope it doesn't happen, to be honest, but I can see it happening.
About 15 years ago, I said that. And the only thing that amazes me is that it hasn't come yet. But again, Thursday as well, more your neck of the woods, Tim, Tower Hamlet.
Yes.
Do you know much about that? Because obviously with Leeds down the road, I was more sort of focused on that, but I am aware that there was incidents in London as well that night.
Yeah, I don't know much about it, to be honest. I don't live far from there, but because it sounds mad, but it's quite regular that type of stuff happens. I'm not saying that people are burning buses and that regularly, but the regular sort of appearance of loads of people in one area because somebody's been arrested or something's happened, it is so common down here. Like, it's become almost normal. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying it's happening every day, but I would say, you know, once or twice a week, things are happening. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to find out what actually happened down there, but, you know.
Do you get frustrated as well, the fact how badly covered it is within mainstream media? And because I mean, even that on Thursday with Leeds, it was like you go onto Sky onto like Sky News, and it's like 7th down the list. You know what I mean? There's a load of bollocks like that is hitting you there first. You really had to like scroll down to even get any coverage of what went on. All the best coverage I've seen, to be honest, is from social media, not from mainstream media. But
shit sticks, James, and the government that whatever power is sitting in Parliament there at the minute doesn't want to see their failure. They don't want to highlight their failure, so that's why they'll try and minimise and deflect and blame other situations rather than the decisions they made towards the immigration. Do you understand? It's the same everywhere. The scariest words on the planet are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help you." They don't help, like. They don't.
No.
They don't. Do you know what I mean? They don't.
You made a good point as well, JP, before when you said about it gets turned back on you. So you're the problem. You're the one that's racist. You're the one that's right wing.
Yeah.
You know, when actually you're just patriotic and love your country and hate to see what's happening around you, basically. And I'm all for patriotism and the way that it is at the minute. Tim, you'll have an interesting point on this one, but for me, it's massively the way the UK is right now. It's patriotism over globalism, and I know, like with yourself, Tim. Obviously, you said you went off to fight ISIS abroad as well, so there's that sense, and like you say, to protect, the reasoning to protect women and children, and to hopefully make the world a better place, which essentially is what we want. But I just feel we need to be looking on our own doorstep at the minute rather than what's happening, away from the UK. But I don't know. What's your thoughts, Tim?
I think, we saw recently, this is a fine example of, they give 3 billion to Ukraine, right? But they can't deal with child poverty here. Like, do they think these problems are just going to disappear? Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying that when people are in trouble, we shouldn't help them. But like you said there, we've got to sort our own house out first. And it's like, I don't know where we've got to a point where we actually, we can't even say, we're proud to be British, we're proud to be, of course we can say it, but it's frowned upon, isn't it? It's looked upon as stupid. And when you think about it, what are we doing? Are we in some sort of simulation? Do you know what I mean? Why are we playing this game?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it frustrates me that they carry on to just keep the globalism alive, which is what Keir Starmer is a globalist. Everybody knows this. You should know this. He is in with globalism. He's for globalism. And we've got to remember, again, I'll talk about democracy that we don't live in. 9 million people voted for a majority party out of nearly 70 million people. If that was Russia, again, what would people say? They would say, that's a bit unfair. That's a bit weird. Reform, they got, 4 million votes. They got 5 seats. Liberal Democrats 3.5 million, and they got 77 seats or 71. So what sort of system are we living in? Seriously, it's crazy, really, isn't it? When you think about that, and I'm sure, actually, JP, I don't know, in Ireland, if you have the first past the post, I'm not sure, but the system of just having 2 parties that basically win all the time. So this one wins, then this one wins, then you swap back. Yeah. Same sort of thing, yeah?
They're both the one. They might as well be the same party. They're the same people, just different names. Same thing. You know what I mean?
It's crazy.
And the one party we had that was for years, Sinn Féin, it's called, right? They are now after jumping on board with Fianna Gael and Fianna Gael and Fianna Fáil, right? So now there's 3 parties that are singing from the same hymn sheet. The whole country feels betrayed by Sinn Féin, to be honest. It's the independents that are making a noise for the normal people now, because the parties are all sworn up by, as you said, globalists. It's all about, not about Ireland, not about that, it's about Europe. They're worrying too much about what's happening in Europe rather than what's happening at home. Do you understand? So, it's the European immigration package. They're after getting paid whatever, so many hundreds of millions to look after immigration in this country, let in all immigrants. That our own people are suffering. It's happening. If you go out in the street, 10 years ago, there wasn't as many Irish homeless. 10 years ago, there wasn't as many abduction of children. There wasn't I'm not being racist. This is just statistics. The abduction of children has gone up in this country. The sexual attacks on women in this country has gone up. The sexual attacks on men have gone up in the country. And it all coincides with the mass immigration. So it's not a coincidence. Do you understand? And that's not, I'm not a racist, as I said, do you know what I'm saying? I don't feel disgusted by a race of people. I feel disgusted by my own government destroying the country. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So it's a touchy issue, it's a touchy issue. And if you speak too much down here, in Ireland, you speak too much, there's these new hate speech laws after coming in and everything. So they're trying to silence the people with hate speech laws that only work in one way and don't work in the other. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So if any immigrant is to speak up, they are. I can send you videos, James, of an immigrant of Jamaican descent telling everyone to pick up their knives against the Irish, that we're all savages. But if I was to go out in the street in the morning and say, pick up the knives and defend our country and this, that, and the other, I'd be boom, handcuffed, thrown in the nick and thrown on remand and trial for hate speech. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Integration works both ways, and it's only working one way in this country. Do you understand?
You've got you've got the situation, haven't you? What was telling for me, just going back to that incident on Thursday, is there was one person arrested, but it was a British woman, because she was stood there. I don't know if you'd seen, but she was stood there basically giving a mouthful to the community and to the Romanians and everyone within that community, and the police were there, and she was saying it's a disgrace the way this area has become. It's not a safe place anymore. You know, it's not safe for people to be walking the streets at night and everything else, the amount of drugs and all the other problems that are going on. And she ended up getting arrested and took away by the police, you know, and you'd got the situation that unfolded, and it's like, what, do you know what I mean? It absolutely just fucking mental. But it's like you say, I think we've bent over backwards and got too PC for so long. Just reflecting again and looking at the two sides there, what JP's saying is the woman there getting arrested, no arrests when police cars are getting, double-decker buses are getting burnt down and police cars getting turned over and bricked and chased out the area. But then you've got a situation where if you've got things that frustrate me, okay, mobile wards came in, I don't know how long ago now, but some time ago, okay, mobile wards. Now, that's fine, but if you imagine in every day that we're going to make an awards for white singers, and that's it, nobody of any colour, you know, it's solely for white singers, like that would be, again, you'd get hammered for it. And it was the whole thing that sort of shaped, and the Black Lives Matter situation and everything else. And it's not about colour. And I think what frustrates me is over the last like 30 years, you've seen the way how we are. There's generations, you know, there's fucking idiots out there, of course there is, but there's people that are switched on as well, and you know, that are not complete fucking degenerates. And there's enough. It's like it's painful to me. It's painful to see the way the country and the UK has become over the last like 30 years, 3 decades, you know. And I don't know what the answer is, to be honest with you. What I'd say is, if for anyone who does feel about it and is passionate about it, I'd say, for me, I'm a patriot. You know, first and foremost, I'm a patriot. I'm not a nationalist. You know, there's a difference as well between, you know, patriotism and nationalism, but I'm a patriot, and we need to sort the country out, basically, don't we? But let's just wrap up then, boys. Any final thoughts on that? I know we got fucking deep, like, quick then, to be fair.
No, that's just I say what I have to say. It's if you you try to speak about it in Ireland, and you try to speak about what's going on with immigration, you're labelled far right and a racist, and if you don't fall into the woke agenda, you're transphobic, you're dysphobic, you're right wing, they have all the labels for someone that doesn't agree with their narrative. You understand? And it's all put in place. Like as Tim said, democracy me bollocks. It's fall in line with us, or we label you something. You understand? And that's all my feelings about it, James. But look, we just have to see how it goes. You know what I mean? We see what happens. You know what I mean?
I think.
What's your thoughts,
There's so many, but I won't. But yeah, I think the main thing we need to tackle is to be free within ourselves, like to reject playing these games. You know what I mean? Sometimes it will get you in trouble. Sometimes you will get in this and that. And I'm not like telling people to go out there and say stupid things. Of course not. Be respectful, be good people. But just like stop playing their games. You know what I mean? Because that's what they feed off. These monsters, and they are monsters. Globalism is real, and it's a monster, and it's like a cancer. You know, once it takes its toll in your country, you're finished. You know, you really are. So I really suggest to people, be free in your mind, be happy, get out there, and be a good person, but also speak to people. You know, people at work and that. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? Because we're so like secluded with each other. You know, we won't talk about it, and that's the main thing we've got to do: talk, and then everyone can say, right, how are we going to solve this problem? You know what I mean? Um, that's it, really. A lot more I could say, but I'm not going to.
Are you going to be there, Tim, next Saturday? Are you going to head down and have a look and see what happens? I know it's
Yeah,
totally.
I'm not.
No, I was going to
No,
say,
I
I
will
know
do.
there's a
Yeah,
lot of
sorry.
hype up in terms of it, but I know there's a lot of messages that have gone out as well in terms of people going there in numbers, but for all the right reasons, you know, not going there to cause any trouble. And, you know, I know videos going out saying that if you feel that you need to cover your face, then don't go. And, you know, lots of different
Yeah,
bits, but like we know, with anything is I think there's probably already going to be counter protests in London on Saturday. But I know I'd be there if I wasn't flying in less than 48 hours. I would definitely be there on the 27th. And, you know, I know people going on the 27th and I would have gone along. But, yeah, what are you going to have a wander down, Tim? And
yeah. Don't get me wrong. I have a wander down. I'm not the biggest supporter of the people that run that. I've got my reasons for that, and I won't really go into them on here. But if people should go, I think it's a good thing to go to. Do you know what I mean? I just, when it comes to the actual overseas politics, i.e., who people support overseas, I'm not going to go into details on it because it'll probably get your channel removed. But but
don't
I'm
worry
not very
about that,
supportive
mate.
of
Don't
who
worry
they
about that. You
support.
speak openly and whatever you want here, buddy.
Um, okay, well, so like a lot of those organisations, they're very pro-Israel. I'm not anti-Israel. I just don't support people that kill women and children, as we have seen, and that's it. You know, that's where I have to sort of pull away a little bit. And I know it's about this country. I know people need to come together. I totally agree. Do you know what I mean? But for me, I just can't cross that line when it comes to women and children. It's a big thing for me, you know. And if people have seen the evidence, they know themselves. You know what I mean? But like I said, I'm not discouraging people. You want to go, and it's probably a good thing because it's the only thing we've got at the moment. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
that's the problem,
So
isn't it?
yeah,
I think that is the problem.
yeah,
Is there's no way that people can show the frustration in the right way, other than in numbers at something, you know, at something like that. So as long as it's done for the right reasons, which, you know, is what would have taken me there, then
yeah.
yeah, it's one of them, Tim, isn't it? It's very difficult when you're, like we say, the way that the government is, and the reality of the situation. Something needs to give before then. What worries me is where you've got decent, level-headed people who are not racist, but want the best for the UK and want the best for the families growing up and want the best for the children, is unless something is done, you'll find more and more people in time will get more prejudice, will get more against it, will start then taking the frustrations and angers out. Then it goes to a situation like, you know, you spoke about earlier, and I've expected for years, is that, you know, it gets taken to the streets. Because what other situation have you got when something kicks off and the police are run out of the area and the police can't do anything? The only arrest that's made is the British woman who's giving them what for. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's a big problem. Like, it's a big problem, but
James,
hopefully,
what I'm saying there, right? Like as you're saying, globalism, one world agendas and all that. That's what globalism is, right? It's like if you cause uncertainty and panic and frustration amongst the masses, all right, that breaks down any constitutional right of a country if the safety of people comes into it. So it gives them power to rewrite the laws and come to votes and go this, that, and the other. So it's more than just it's a globalist problem. It's a fall in line, rewrite laws, take away as many rights as possible. So there's like a group that can control everything. That's what's happening. Cause uncertainty, frustration, anger. This crowd is getting this and we're not getting that, and they're getting this and that and the other, and they'll all just attack each other and then rewrite laws, rewrite constitutions, rewrite everything, and then it's a messy subject. Like it's a messy situation. Like, and you go too far into it, and you think too far into it, you get labelled, and that's the way of getting back at anyone that has a brain or has their own train of thought about the situation is, oh, you're not listening to us, racist. Oh, you're not listening to us. You're not. How there is two men can have a child. Do you understand? Do you understand? Two men can have a baby. Like if this man and this woman identifies as a man, but he's a man. Oh, how dare you call that woman a woman? You know what I mean? Like it's all cause madness amongst the masses, and the rest will just fall in line for them. The powers that be, like, you know what I mean? It's mad.
Yeah, yeah. It is crazy. It's that way. Like we say, over time, we've gone that far. PC, we've gone that far, bending over backwards for people. That this is the reality of the situation. You know, this is the reality of the situation, and it's just I just think it's a shame. I think like you're only going back like you think less than 100 years ago. The things that the things that have happened globally and around the world, and then you look at it now and you think like, is that what all those people fought for and fucking lost their lives over, and how would all of those people that gave the life for for the right reasons would feel now if they could see the way the world is today? Like it's mental. So anyway, like that was fucking proper deep talk. I enjoyed that, boys. I appreciate that. I enjoyed that. So let's lighten it up a bit. Tim, how much are you sort of in touch with the old dark corner of YouTube? I know I see you pop onto JP.
Yeah,
I see you pop onto JP's and
yeah. I'm not too up to date recently in the last week or whatever because I've just sort of moved away from it. So it was just so time consuming, wasn't it? Dealing with nothing. You know what I mean? Like, I just can't be dealing with it. I've got nothing in my life without all these lunatics. But yeah, it'd be interesting to find out from you guys what's actually happening. what's the sketch?
So we've had that, like the usual mix. You sort of tend to get a few channels that want to steer away from the dark corner, if you like, and then you get other channels steering back in. So we've got it's interesting. I know. I think Scott Lee sort of said that he's going to completely like distance himself from the dark corner with his content. I know Paul Venice made a video on that, didn't he, the other day? Saying how hard it is to do. He's tried to do it. You've had Video Craig try and do it. JDP, one who's just come back, who we'll touch on. Big up JDP, but we'll touch on JDP in a minute. So he's now, after wanting to sort of break free, come back to the dark corner. And then I don't know what the problem, like what the issues is. I don't know. I've got a bit of love for this corner of YouTube myself, where you've got people who who just come on, and I'd say for bigger chat. And I mean, yeah, fair play to them. You've got like people like Paul Venice, Danny Christie, where they've got massive followers. You've not just on YouTube but away as well. But I just think, like, just regardless how big these guys are and how big these guys get, take the fucking dark corner with you. Do you know what I mean? Like, literally, like, take it with you. If you don't, instead of trying to run away from it, just take it with you. Because what I'd say as well is there's actually a lot of good people in this corner. You know, we get thinged up about most of the good people that don't have channels, by the way. Most of the good people don't have channels, but yeah, I think there is a lot of good people in this corner, and there's too much made of it. Like, but look, we're all our own people, aren't we? JP, I know you've got yours, which we'll touch on. One thing that's mental, Tim, only just over a week ago, JP, the General, Cuddo, were having like death threats put against them over YouTube, and people saying that they were going to turn up to people's houses with children and women, which I don't even need to ask your thoughts on, mate. So there's that element of the dark corner, which, to be fair, was just laughed at and dealt with in the right way, in my opinion. And it is what it is, you know, complete and utter bullshit. But yeah, I've got love for this corner of YouTube. I've been in and around it for that long, and there's rabbit holes everywhere. So you've got to like pick your. For me, you've got to pick where you want to put your attention. You know, or you could be fucking taken in any direction. But I'm really simple with, you know. We all know who I'm not a fan of with this corner of YouTube, and it's very simple. And like, I'm the same as you, Tim. I think you've got to look after the women and the children first and foremost. And I think that goes on here as it does in society and in everyday life as well, you know. So if there's people that are not looking after the women and the children, then to me, they shouldn't be on here. They shouldn't be on Instagram. They shouldn't be on fucking Facebook. They shouldn't be on anything. They should just be booted, you know. Big up Cuddo. Cuddo, I tell you what, let me just bang it in the chat again. Just 1 second.
Cuddo's going to jump on, yeah.
Yeah, if anyone wants to jump on, guys, jump on. The
General was supposed to jump on, but I haven't seen him pop in the chat yet, so he's probably busy. But this side of YouTube, him is you understand the lingo, you understand the wording of words on this side of YouTube, do you? You know what bacon means, do you?
Yeah.
Well, Shad Bundy bacon, right? Shad Bundy is an Irish fella that's a big dirty convicted bacon, right? He threatened to send an Northern Irish organisation to all our houses to kneecap us, which was all complete bollocks. He was never sending any. There's no Northern Irish organisation that have anything to do with the convicted bacon anyway, right? He's twisting and turning and getting things. He's saying all these mad and absurd and outrageous things with no actual proof or backing, but everything that has been said about him is on black and white in sheets of paper like that. By the way, while we're here, Shad Bundy, the Daily Bundy, Thursday 7 p.m. every Thursday we do a show reading out Shad Bundy's transcripts since he started dropping threats. So it's to raise awareness of how much of a danger he is to women in the country. But
all right, lad.
Yeah, that's
happening, man.
He's a sausage, Tim. He's a big sausage that'll do nothing and just smoke vapes and drink in this kebab note. That's it. You know what I mean? I just said I'd fill you in on that much of it anyway.
All right, Locke. What's happening, Locke?
Cuddo, you know Tim, don't you, mate? You know Tim is.
Yeah, I see him on your podcast there, and I was watching the fight there or whatever and all that.
Beanie goes, watches quite a bit of JP's bits as well, and gets into the comments where he can. But how's it going, Cuddo? You good, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, man. All good, no complaints.
Happy days, bro. Happy days. Yeah. And
kids
like
JP's, so
Cuddo was another one of the men, Tim, who let's say things got a little bit fiery with over the last week and a bit.
I did see something with that, but nice to meet you, mate, as well, by the way. Lads, I keep dropping in and out. So I don't know why. Does my screen keep going?
No, you
Oh,
go.
I went there a second ago when I
Oh,
came
it's
in
all
there.
right. Oh, okay. Sometimes I can't hear you. That's all. It disappears, but it's all right. Okay, cool.
No, you're good. And then the other one we've got Shad Thursday, JP, on a Thursday, 7 o'clock.
the
And
Shad Bundy Thursday,
So,
7 o'clock on a Thursday.
Good, I clicked on it.
Shad
To
Bundy
see it for me.
Thursday.
I know,
for
Josh.
me
I
as
was
well,
asleep for the good one.
Can I say, like, from my point of view on that one as well, when you've got a guy who's a convicted wrong-un who gets 5 years for serious sexual offence against a woman and is on here for the last 18 months declaring himself innocent and basically saying that he's going to appeal, it's all a setup and everything else, and then when the truth of it comes out, the guy's apologised to reduce his own sentence to the woman, then I think it's a fucking disgrace, to be honest with you. And as far as Shad Bundy Thursday goes, it gets my full support for what it is, for the right reasons, and keep it fucking going, boys, as far as I'm concerned.
There has to be some sort of repercussion for these actions and these lies. He's telling lies on the internet. How would that woman feel watching him on the internet telling lies about a crime he was convicted for and apologised for, and then going back on his apology once he finishes the sentence? That's contradicting himself, like, you know what I mean? Imagine being that woman having to look at that. You know what I mean?
We know how difficult it is as well, and the percentage that you actually get convictions in those cases is minimal, is minimal. So the fact that it's been put out there, and the fact that you all that you're doing is telling what is fact. It's from court transcripts. This is what it is. Obviously, it's not going to be liked, but at the end of the day, fuck him. That's how I see it.
But as Tim said there, like, he goes off into other countries to women and children because they're the ones suffering the repercussions of what's happening abroad, right? It's the same thing. A beast is a beast, an animal. That is as capable of harming women and children as someone abroad harming women and children. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So
Exactly,
you have to meet fire with fire in some instances, and that's a situation where you have to meet fire with fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
100%.
definitely.
Great.
But everyone, Thursday night, 7 o'clock, over Shad. What's the channel? Daily Bundy.
The Daily
The
Bundy.
Daily Bundy.
But it's actually the Thursday. But it's on the Daily Bundy, but it's on a Thursday. The Daily, because the guy's fucking. He's everywhere.
We upload little things throughout the week, but we do the live on a Thursday. You know what I mean?
Brilliant. Yeah, so check it out, people. Get on there on Thursday, and it gets my full support, and all fair play to you boys for doing what you're doing and speaking up. So on to the next one. Obviously, what we were saying about some people leaving YouTube, getting out the corner, other people coming back in. JDP, one of my oldest YouTube pals, if you like. So obviously, I know on a serious note, I think he went to take his channel, got back into gambling. I think that he's had gambling problems in his past, and thankfully, it sort of caught it and has returned to the dark side, let's say. But there's he's come back to the dark side like big time, because I don't know if you've seen, but another unsavoury character, let's say, in this corner, Tim, none other than Mr. Decker Heggie. JDP's come back saying that he wants to do a live with Decker and basically sort out what's true and what's not true, because he doesn't necessarily trust everything that he's heard from Video Craig and whatever else. On that one, my thoughts, before I ask you boys' thoughts on that one, I think big up JDP first of all, right? Because he's a sound guy. But as well, JDP, he's here because he's here to earn a few quid. And he he's monetized his channel. He does it for the clicks and views. And he knows that in this corner, Decker's a big fish, so if he can do that, then obviously he's gonna profit from it. And I ain't saying that there's anything necessarily wrong with that at the end of the day. Different people do it for the same reasons. Lots of fucking channels in this corner have been built and are built and still pull on Decker Heggie in terms of content daily, So what JDP's doing ain't anything new for a start. But how is he going to get to any truth when he's talking to one of the most pathological liars on YouTube in terms of what he is? And the other thing, I think, is if you take out what could be a lie or what could be misspread information, let's say, and you solely look at the facts and you solely look at what Decker's responsible for doing over the course of however many years, you're still going to I'm still going to have the same opinion of the guy. That's the reality, and I probably know a bit more than what a lot of people do. But what's your thoughts on that one, boys?
Damn, big up JDP anyway. And
yeah, big up.
Well, look, if that's what he's about, if that's what he wants to get into, like, who's anyone to judge? But like, it's muddy waters, shall we say? It's muddy waters, right? And look, that Wrong deserves everything he gets. Whatever's happening with the other fella, Cockroach Hotel and all this, that's what you get, like, for being the type of person you are, like, you know what I mean? But yeah, big up JDP. that's it, like.
He's back with a bang, like. He's back with a
Yeah,
bang.
it's good to see him. It's good to see him back. He's good. I enjoy JDP's content. The man of many holidays, like. You know what I mean?
I've seen him a couple of times. Seems like a decent lad, you know what I mean? Seems all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like JDB content. What I'd be wondering with the Decker thing is, like, what's he bringing him on for? What's he looking to get out? What's, like, what kind? Yeah, I know that, but like, what kind of questions is he asking him? What's he going into? Is he going to talk about when he was in Thailand and try to get Decker's side of it? And what's the, like, what's
he's going to say
outcome?
everything. I imagine about Marty. I imagine about the 7,000.
Because like Decker's never really got, like, whether it's true or false, he's never been asked, like, by somebody. He's only put up his own videos, hasn't he? Has anybody actually got him face to ask him things like?
He's going to go an in-depth analysis with Heggie.
I think people have tried Cuddo in the past. I think there's one or two that have tried in the past, and he'll just suddenly his phone disconnects or he's off the stream.
That's what it seems to me, because he put up the video saying that he will collab with people about JDP and Dr. Rackpool. He will collab, but he's waiting for some shit to blow over and whatever the story is.
He's always waiting for something to happen. He's always waiting for legal letters, or he's waiting for visas, or he's waiting.
He's waiting till he's no longer the big news.
It's got to be done in the right way, though, and there are questions that need asking, and that's the point. There are questions. It's all right, yeah, let's bring Decker on, and you know that your views are going to jump up, or you put him in a title of a video and you know that everyone's going to click and watch it. We all know that the fucking corner of YouTube's built on it, and probably 90% of the channels that inhabit this corner are built on that, so it's the same principle for everyone, whether you're Dr. Rackpool or Video Craig or JDP. Whoever you are, it's the same thing. So you've got to think, when you're dealing with someone like Decker, are you going to ask the right questions, right? Because you're dealing with victims. And like what you were touching on there with Shad Bundy, that's one victim that you know about. That's one victim. There's a lot more than one victim where Decker Heggie is concerned. So it's all right, I think, pulling him on and saying this and that, but you've got to be asking the right questions. And if he throws it, if every time he's asked the question,
I have a question for Marty, really, about him and Decker thing. Like, I don't know how I ended up with it. I got sent on some messages between, I think it was about the bank thing, was between Marty's missus Joan and Decker on WhatsApp. And Decca was texting saying, "Can you get me a Big Mac and this and whatever?" It was just normal messages over and back. But one of the messages was like, "Oh, we'll be back later. I'll play with the boys on the laptop and you can go to work." That doesn't seem like such a big monster. Is that true? Did he come back and do that? What's the story there? You know, because the messages, he seemed like a fucking very much of a gentleman towards Marty's missus in the messages from what I seen, you know.
That's just, he was living in the gaff with Marty at the time. He was living with Marty and the missus at the time, wasn't he? So that's just, of course he had to keep his roof over his head, Cuddo. What deviant behaviour went on before and after that? That is what's questioned. Do you understand?
I suppose you're gonna give people a certain perception to get what you want, yeah.
He's a master manipulator. He's a master narcissist. He's a master deflector. He's a monster, right? This is from what I can tell you, what proof I'm after seeing and what stuff I'm after been sent, and how many NFAs, and there's no smoke without fire, and how many actually, like, you know what I mean? It's not just all the trolls, you know what I mean? he's after muddying the waters for himself because he couldn't control himself, the behaviours, the pattern of behaviours, do you know what I mean? So, no smoke without fire.
I've got to say as well, touching on Marty and mentioning Marty, the last time we were on a fortnight ago, there was the whole thing got said regarding he was owed $7,000 and he's been ripped off and he's, you know, this, that and the rest of it, if you remember. And I made comment last time saying that I believe there's probably truth and lies on both sides, which I know Marty took offence to because I got WhatsApps as the live was going on. So big up Marty.
Big up Marty, yeah.
But it is what it is, right? Like, that is my honest opinion. Knowing what I know of Decca, knowing what I know of Marty, there's probably truth and lies on both sides, and that's it, right? But things that I pick up on all the time, like Decca done that recent video talking about going in on Rackpull and saying that he shouldn't be doing impressions of Chew, right? And it's bullying against women, and women and children should be left out of it, right? So fair point. But then you've got to remember the man goes over to the Philippines under Marty as an ambassador of FFM, moves into the man's house and tries to split his fucking family up. Like, you've got to remember that as well, you know, which Decca did and played a big part in. So it's all right, Decca getting pissed off at Rackpull for his impression here and there and you know, what he does. But is that the guy's a complete fucking hypocrite at the end of the day. You know, he's soon forgetting about what he was doing just a few months ago. So are you ever going to get on a podcast with him and get to the truth and find out whether this guy's telling the truth or what Craig said? Like, we know that, you know, the stuff that Craig says and does, but first and foremost is a comedy show. You know, it is about comedy first and foremost. Like, but I don't know, Tim. What's your thoughts, bro?
I just think it's wild, man. Like EastEnders, right? I used to watch that years ago when I was a kid. This is like next level, bro. Honestly, like I followed it in depth for like 2 or 3 years, I think. Like, I was right at the beginning. I was following all this. I don't know how it fell into my bloody TV, but unfortunately, the seed got sown, and that was it. I was following all these lunatics, and I was like, geez, like, I was going through therapy at the time. I thought, you know, I'm actually sane. It helped me. Do you know what I mean? Because these people are nuts. But, you know, I don't really know enough these days to really comment fully on people. And that's not a get out clause. I generally don't. But regarding Marty, I was the one who kept asking him about Thai boxing because I've Thai boxed myself in Thailand. But I got no response to that. But I kind of get that maybe he was playing a character. That's what I get off him. You know what I mean? There was some sort of thing. But apart from that, I don't know, it's just madness. But it's entertaining. And this is the thing. It attracts people to watch it. Let's be honest. Do you know what I mean? Like, whatever people say, people watch this stuff. And there's some people getting some big views off drama. So it's going to become addictive to them. So they're going to keep doing it, aren't they? So, yeah, each to their own.
Yeah,
One doesn't escape the dark side.
You can't
It's
get out,
crazy,
JP,
isn't
is it?
No,
Once you're in, you're in.
you're in for life. The only time you get out is when you go in the coffin. That's it. You know what I mean? They're done.
You'll probably have been in and around this corner, mate, long before I was. Because it was the Decker and Danny fight which brought me to this corner, and
Okay.
I'd seen as well some bits of Karma Corner and also Exposure TV. So I'd stumbled upon that by chance, but I wasn't like watching it all the time. Exposed stuff, like I think I first seen him during lockdown when it was like 2020, early 21. And then the Danny and Decker fight, I think, was November 2021. So from that point, it's been what, like 3 years, I'd say, coming up to 3 years, end of this year. But I didn't know the ins and outs, mate. Not like anything like now, like this last year, of being in and around YouTube. I'm not someone that posts out shit videos every day, saying this, that, and the rest of it about the corner. But I think I'm a bit more switched on to like defamation, slander, and libelous as well. Whereas I think certain people aren't, whether because they've got fuck all to lose or just because it's that not give a fuck mentality. I don't know. So I'm maybe a bit more careful about what I say about stuff and than other people might be. I think that's fair comment, like, but I don't know. It's interesting, isn't it? I think it's an interesting corner, and all that I'll say is just enjoy it for what it is. I do.
Yeah, exactly.
I get a good laugh out of it. This last week as well, I've just been seeing some of what Masters does. Have you been onto Masters' channel, Dark Raven? He'll just, he'll do his thing, and
Big up,
and it's good, Yeah,
Yo,
big up,
DJ
man.
Six,
And there's good General's channel. I don't know. Hopefully we had General on last time. We'll hopefully get him on again. But again, I'd sat through one or two of his lives and first ones that I have, to be fair. And I thought, actually, yeah, do you know what? He talks a lot of sense. He's just telling it how it is. But again,
Big up
you'll
to
see him
General.
bouncing around the dark corner, having a buzz and a laugh. And, you see him in the comments himself, like, but
sometimes the dark corner is not as dark as it seems.
Nah, not at all.
It's only when you start mentioning the select few it starts getting dark. The likes of Shad Bundy and Decca and all that kind of. When you start mentioning them, it starts getting dark. But when you just have the light-hearted slag and taking the piss out of each other thing, that's grand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when you start bringing the convicted ones and the morally corrupted and questionable people into it, that's when it gets dark. You know what I mean?
And you got to remember as well, like the corner's full of that. The whole corner's full of it. So it's like, what do you do? Do you want to go? Do you want to literally go to fucking war with everyone, or you pick your battles? And to me, your battles are picked. There's certain bits with me that it's personal, but if it's personal to me, to be honest with you, I'd sooner keep it off YouTube anyway. Why people like would want to, make the stuff that you've had thrown at you, JP, over the last couple of weeks, mate, is mental.
There's a new one. The new one, James, is it's not acros anymore. It's not. Get your blood test out. Get your blood test out. It's the new one. Yeah, that's the new.
Yeah.
Get your blood test out.
It's crazy, like. But it is funny, isn't it? It is funny, and to me, I'll watch this, that, and the rest of it. But people, like, look, at the end of the day, people have histories, right? People have things that have gone on. People do bits and pieces, right? Personally, if that doesn't in any way affect me, then let them crack on with it. I take people the way I would find them in life. That's the way I've always gone through life, and I ain't going to change the way that I've always been. But that said, there's certain things which to me are wrong, and at the end of the day, if you're a convicted wrong-un, and that's what I mean. Not fucking he said, she said, he could be, he couldn't be. There's no proof. I'm talking about the black and white convicted. Then I don't think they should be on YouTube. I don't think they should be on social media, full stop. And that's just my own view and my own opinion. But to me, they're the fucking lowest of the low. Simple as that.
I don't think they should have their subscription to Oxygen like they have, to be honest with you. But so look, that's my opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's real easy for me to sort of say which side of the fence that I'm on YouTube. And other than that opinion, do you know what? I think the more channels, the better. The more different people doing their own thing, the better. I love this. Like, I love proper just real talk. And do you know what I mean? I've got a lot of time for all you men, so really appreciate you being here. And but just to have a good chat and a natter. And it's like you said, Tim, it's good because there's not enough people that do talk about these things, and not just talking about the dark corner, but real stuff as well. Like, we had a good half-hour chat.
What do you reckon of the Jake Paul fight last night?
I was always going to go that way, Cuddo.
He fucking walked through him, man. I was disappointed
gloved,
in him.
mate. Gloved, yeah. I mean, Mike Perry's a bare knuckle fighter, isn't he? And between bare knuckle fight, you can touch on this, Tim, as well. Like fighting, what weight were the gloves last night? Do you know?
10 ounce.
10 ounce gloves. So, Tim, you fought 10 ounce, you fought 4 ounce, and you fought bare knuckle. Like the difference where you've got fucking Paul and what he fights, the way that he's trained to a very good level as well. I'm not saying he's like to some of the world's best, like, but to a very good level. Compared to somebody who fights and trains bare knuckle, is worlds apart,
Supposedly, so Alex Pereira accepted his fight and all. Alex Pereira's next for him now. He accepted it, supposedly.
Yeah, I mean, I'd put fucking a lot of money on the fact that Mike Perry's just had his biggest payday, more than he's ever been paid in the BFC.
I think most people, when they fight him, get their biggest paycheck.
But I think he's gone into it as well, probably knowing that he's gonna the outcome. I don't think there's anybody who would have backed Mike Perry in that last night. But yeah, sorry, Tim, go on, bro. Your thoughts, because obviously you've fought all the same yourself, like.
Yeah, I think it showed the gloved and bare knuckle how different it is.
I think we just lost Tim for a sec.
Yeah.
Yeah, the training and everything what these fighters go through every day is worlds apart between fighting bare knuckle and fighting gloved. Massively.
Plus with the bare knuckle as well, you're cutting nearly every time it's cutting, so Mike Perry's good at getting fucking hitting and not getting hit kind of thing, so he's just slicing people up kind of.
Mike Perry just walks onto slaps. He walks onto punches.
He's a brawler, Mike Perry. He's not a boxer,
Yeah.
And there's a big difference, like, and bare knuckle brawlers can get on just as well as boxers, and people who've got technical ability. You don't always need that technical ability, And I think that showed last night. I think if it had been, if they did one 10 ounce gloves and then another one bare knuckle, I think it'd be a different situation. But
yeah,
I reckon Paul would win the bare knuckle. I don't know if Jake Paul would be game for a bare knuckle scrap. Even I don't think he'd be into it. Like,
yeah, I mean, you've got to look at the weight difference as well. Because obviously the weight difference a massive part as well. Sorry, Tim, go again, bro. We lost you then, and it cut out.
Yeah, sorry, that's yeah. So yeah, I think it just highlighted it's a different sport. It really is a different sport. I think even in foot movement, I would say, even though I used to think it was quite the same, but even the slight movements of feet and everything, how your distancing is. So I don't think it highlighted that bare knuckles not as good as boxing. I think it just highlighted it's a different sport. And I do believe if Jake went in there bare knuckles, he'd get destroyed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If he goes in, he would get destroyed. So, but fair play to Jake Paul. I'm going to say that. Fair play to him because he can box. That man can fight, you know, and whether people like it or not, he can fight. He can fight, you know. So fair play.
Can. We give him that he can. I just despise him. I despise him, but that's the selling point. He can fight, he can box, and everyone.
Yeah. Say it.
Everybody wants to see him get knocked out, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. I think it would be interesting. I would love to see it bare knuckle. I would love to see it bare knuckle.
Who knows? He might go quite far.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Perry does it.
I reckon he might start shouting at McGregor now. I reckon he might start shouting at McGregor. Again, he already tried.
Did you see that as well? I thought. Did you see that, boys, as well? I thought it was really cool. I seen Danny Christie was over in Marbella. I got someone coming in, and he did a little face-off with McGregor. Did you see it?
Yo.
I thought fair play to Danny Christie. Just the flip side of the coin with Decker, you know, in terms of where Danny Christie is now. He's out in Marbella with 2 BKFC belts, having a face-off with Conor McGregor, you know, and where's Decker is in his fucking box bedroom in Cardiff. Oh, we got Pirate. Hang on one sec. Yes, Pirate, big up, brother.
Nominating and electing a Democratic president.
What's happening, mate? Two seconds.
Yeah, how you doing, pal? You good?
I had to stop for coming on there. I'm a Scottish nationalist. So I didn't want to get involved with your English thing that's going on now, mate, if you know what I mean.
Nah, it's mate, I get it, right? And I think this is an interesting and good thing as well, because I've got, like, to be fair.
How you doing, Tim? All right, mate? How you doing, Paul?
Hello,
I don't think it's just an English thing, Pirate.
No, but see the thing is, we're no bothered about this up in Scotland. We've had Asian immigrants for 50, 60 years, mate. It's all down to the British Empire, all this problem, mate. It's Britain.
But there has been here though, Pirate. We have as well though. Like you've got.
It was
immigration to like the
70s. It was immigration that was brought in the 50s to fill the jobs that the British didn't want to do. And now a lot of British people are all complaining about that because it's all British-born Asian people. Loads and loads of British on. They're all hard workers, mate. You know what I mean? They're all hard workers. That's my view. There's a general. You didn't turn up. What about your 8 p.m. appointment, bro?
I'm not well, mate. I'm fucking down here. But
I was showing that link out to everybody, say 8 p.m. You didn't show up.
There's nothing I can do about it. Every time I do go on I was on dock earlier. I had to fucking head off. I was away being sick again. Can't eat. Every time I eat, I fucking just book it back up.
Hey, good to see you, General. Big up, bro.
Same to you, James. So I just want to say one thing here, JP. So the Irish Republican Socialist Party has got in contact with me from Derry.
Yeah.
And they've basically said that Shadow has no association with any Republicans there and that he's a Walter Mitty. That was their exact words. I don't want to screenshot the messages and put them up because I wouldn't do that between...
So they've done their homework on them, mate. They've done their homework on them, mate.
1 minute, Block. 1 second. It was obvious. Anyway, General.
It was. We knew that, but I just wanted to make sure, definitely. Not make sure. I just wanted to let them know too that what he was saying, exactly what names he was using and shit like that. So the net's starting to close in. I think he's starting to feel the squeeze a bit. So he
That's
is.
what I was saying earlier, mate. He's feeling the squeeze off his man. Fucking tightening the noose. Fucking brilliant. It needed the Irish to join in, but it needed the Irish for the noose to start tightening, mate. Because we're all sitting over in the UK, mate. You're the ones that can really tighten the noose, mate.
Well, that's
Twist
it.
it like that, like a tourniquet. Keep twisting it till the head
Keep
pops
twisting
off.
it, mate. Keep twisting it, bro.
JP, he was in my chat earlier, and he was saying, "Let me on. You're dead," but I wouldn't let him on because I didn't get the right to reply when he was on lives. Do you know what I mean? So
We were all waiting for him. We were all waiting for him to come on anyway. Would they get fucking launched, mate?
Yes, boys. Tim, you're missing all the good stuff on YouTube the last week, brother. It's getting spicy.
I'm going to have to catch up. I'm going to have to catch up, mate. Definitely.
The Shad Bundy on a Thursday, 7 o'clock. It does be banging. It does be popping off.
I'll have to have a look. Definitely.
Suppose you have talked about the Jake Paul fight last night and everything.
Oh, we done the whole lot. We covered every subject, General. You're late, brother.
I'm fucking down, but I don't know what's up.
Pirate, just to touch, mate. I get what you're saying, but I think the difference is when the immigrant. You've got to remember as well, like the doctors and the NHS. I think about 28% are, they're not British. They're brought in to do a job.
Of course, yeah. But that's because we're no training. We're no training the people up.
I think the problem, Pirate. I think the problem is, mate, and what I can say from what I've seen myself here, which obviously, it's probably different to what you're seeing, but here you've also got a situation where the local people don't want to work. The local people are not prepared to go out and put a shift in and actually do the jobs, which is why you had so many people come in the first place,
But what is it? As all these people are getting brought in from countries that were originally British, so they can just walk into all these.
Sorry,
these
boys, lost that.
We can walk into all these NHS jobs because they've been trained up to British standard. So that's why all the African countries and all that were all coming in. They were all staying trained up to British standard because they were all ex-British colonies.
Yeah, I think a problem here is the fact that you've got so many people that aren't prepared to do the work themselves.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So
yeah, no, I'd agree with you there.
You've got
we're such a snowflake nation now. Like it's hard to get a young lad to even do a bit of labouring.
Yeah.
But all the immigrants
right,
will work 16-hour shifts, mate. So they'll come and work 16-hour shifts.
How long? Over 2 decades, I worked in catering. So I was working hotels, restaurants.
He's on the McDonald's Wi-Fi.
He certainly is.
Yeah, it's shocking, mate, here at this
50 pence in the meter, James.
It's
50
shocking.
pence in the meter, bro.
Can you hear me, or is it just going real bad?
You need to pedal faster, bud. Pedal faster.
It is true because see the amount of contractors and all bit like crying out for labourers. And the guy's talking to one time not long ago on a site, and he said to me, every time he gets a young lad, he lasts about not even a week, and they just say it's not for them. And it's like you have to start somewhere, don't you? None of them want to do it. They would rather probably sit behind a desk or something.
Yeah.
We don't really.
See all the like your CITB and it's called CSCS cards and your CPCS cards. Everyone I think should begin the thing of getting that before they leave school, so they can walk into employment, mate. No problem.
100%.
You know what I mean? They should get that card like they should get their national insurance card.
A lot of well, I know a lot of like the sites I work on, most of them would put you through it if you didn't have it and you came and you were willing to work and you say you lasted a month, but they're
I
not going to
know.
stick you through it if you come a week because they have to pay for it. Do you know what I
I
mean?
know. I know.
But they would
See,
put you through it.
I got my CPSC card in the 80s. I got my grandfather rights, but it was a CITB, it was called back there. So
Yeah.
they brought that in about 1986 or something. So I was working the machines, the diggers. I'm a digger driver. That's why I keep falling back on. If a day hangs, I always get back on the diggers. And I was a digger driver before they brought the cards out, so you could get your grandfather rights. So the mob you were working for just says you're a competent driver, and you send away and you get your CITB, but their fortunes now, they're about 10, 15 grand, I think, to get through the big one. Fucking fortunes to get it, mate. Fucking mental.
And Don makes good point there. Young labourers, 8 times out of 10 don't want to get out there and smoke a lot.
I've seen that comment, but I think it's a bit. It's true in a way, but I think the young generation, they all smoke weed nowadays, don't they? Like it's not just like you go into an office. Even in an office, they're sitting. Even in an office, they're sitting caked off their dome, aren't they? Like, let's be real.
You can get away with the vapes now, but the vapes don't even smell. You could sit and puff them away, and they don't even know you're smoking it.
I think as well, Pirate, right? The other thing as well on that with immigration and that is what we spoke about earlier, JP. Like, you can't have immigration without integration. And I think immigration isn't what it was back in the 70s and 80s. This problem now is a recent problem. Do you know what I mean? This is a recent issue.
No, James, have you ever read Enoch Powell's statement about the rivers of blood? Have you ever read that properly?
Nah, mate, I don't read.
No, well, see if you read that, the rivers of blood was just taken out of context. It was about integration he was talking about in that, and there was going to be rivers of blood if there wasn't integration. But it was spun in a way to make it look as if it was a heavy hate thing, if you know what I mean. And it wasn't heavy hate, but it was made to look like heavy hate. And it was all about integration. If you didn't integrate with the people in the country, it would just kick off and there would be rivers of blood. And that was back in the 40s he was talking about that.
But it's playing out modern day.
You know what I mean?
That's what's happening now.
I know.
You find it's more...
out to Tim Scott. Tim Scott, I think, is finished, but fair play for Tim Scott for coming on, boys. Fair play.
Yeah, if Tim had to jump off, man, sorry, I had fucking connection issues and I was out the back and it all goes a bit like that sometimes here.
You find it's more like they don't want to integrate than anything either. Like they're sticking their own wee quicks and like does any like British Irish person really find it bad integrating?
But look, come here. Look. How long did it take? How long did it take Catholics and Protestants to integrate? No, really, we're in a day and age where they're integrated.
We're still no here, JP. We're still no integrated, mate.
But you have to remember, JP,
we're still no integrated, but
it's a lot better than it was, lot.
We were turned against each other basically through the British Crown, like
divide and conquer, mate. Divide and conquer. It's still good.
Listen, what I was saying earlier on, James, right? Cause eruptions amongst the masses, and then the powers that be will grow. That's what the Northern Irish situation was. Cause uncertainty and confusion amongst the masses, and then they were able to write laws and do this and do that. There wasn't Catholic Protestant. It was what was above that was pulling the strings. MI5s, all them had a lot to play in that league as well.
The government there was actually like there was actually like a secret service, like police units. I can't remember what it was called, but it was set up over here.
Yeah,
and they were literally just going about, and they were doing like shootings, and it was basically getting blamed on either loyalists or nationalists, Republicans, and it wasn't. It was them the whole time. It's all out in court documents now. And then there's all them super agents that are all out now who were gave a free roam to kill people just for the sake of the gain and there was no gain really except for murder, but for the gain of the crown really. But a lot of people probably not look at if you look even back, watch a lot of documentaries about it. Most of them people that were involved in it are troubled. You know, they've drink problems, drug problems, mental health problems.
They're destroyed. It's at the shot on them, like.
It's
Yeah.
mad. It's mad, but because see in Scotland, the IRA are the thing that never ever attacked on Scottish soil. It was all kept to England or Northern Ireland. It was fucking, but here it was rife in Scotland. But I mean, right, it's fucking heavy rife still, mate. It's heavy rife everywhere still. It's all
It is,
religion.
yeah.
Religion was a
It's a
fucking.
lot better,
The
boys.
worst thing that was ever invented, the worst thing that humans ever invented was fucking religion, mate. It's fuck.
But it's a lot better. I remember being in Northern Ireland 20 years ago, and it was only up to then recently. It's different. It's a different feel. It's a different buzz. Like,
Oh, you
You
couldn't
might
went
have
in.
that. You might have that different feeling in Ireland, but it's not like that in Scotland, mate.
It's still
And I-
dodgy enough. Like you couldn't just
it still exists, but
you
you
couldn't
can walk.
just wander into certain areas if you weren't
Look, there's
kind of
peace
like.
walls up,
But
there's
like, put it to
fences going
this way,
through
like,
people's
I
gardens.
used to walk. I used to walk off the Antrim Road straight through the Shankill, down through the alleyways, and out onto the road. I couldn't have done that 15 years ago. You know what I
No.
mean?
Yeah.
And I can do it now, like, you know what I mean?
I think religion has got a big part to play, and let's be honest, in history and all the wars, and I think religion's got a big part to play now with the problems that are in and around the UK, because it's all right opening the borders and letting everyone come in, but you're also letting in, all different cultures and religions and diversity and everything else. And if all of those people just go into one community, and there's numerous communities around Manchester that don't speak a word of English, then you're just going to have problems that escalate. And regardless, I mean, we've got everyone pretty much supported here, apart from Wales. And, I think there's only Welsh Ben who I've seen who
Well, I know there's a joke. I know there's definitely a joke on this panel with an
There's
Englishman,
gotta
an
be.
Irishman,
Yeah,
and a
definitely,
you know,
Pirate.
a Scotsman, mate.
There's a joke in there somewhere, mate, for sure. But I think for me as well, like, I'm not someone that's just lived in my own fucking four walls for my life. I've travelled around the UK. I went to, I've been all around Scotland. I worked in Glasgow, worked in Port Glasgow, worked in Edinburgh, Dunbar, lots of places north of the border. I've worked at lots of places in Wales and all over the UK. That was my job for 10 years. I travelled the UK working, and I've met a lot of good people. So there is no sort of, to me, there's no sort of home nations. I see it bigger than that. I don't see it as an English problem. I don't see it as it's our problem. That's how
I
I
know,
see
but
it.
that's the problem. But we're so divided in our society. The Scottish hate the English, mate. It's just an inborn.
Mate, I
It's an
know
inbred
there's
thing,
no love loss. I know there's no love loss there, Parrot. Do you know what I mean? Me personally, I take people as I find them. I don't care where they're from.
No, I'm just saying the psyche of Scotland. The psyche of Scotland
get
is
that.
England is the enemy, mate. That's
I
who
get
we've had
that.
our battles with over the years, and it's in our psyche. That's just the way it is, mate.
Let me take it back then here. So if I take it back 30 years ago, right? So 30 years ago, I was 16, and you'd got then your first sort of influx coming in of people who were coming in from Kosovo, Albania, these types of countries, for asylum. And how I saw it and the way it was on the streets was you'd got the Kosovans fighting the Albanians. This was all going on because they'd all got their own sort of conflicts and issues historically, let's say. But you fast forward 4 or 5 years, and the Kosovans and the Albanians were together, fighting together. So it wasn't then, the fight was then teaming up. It was one of them. Why are we fighting each other in the streets of Hull when we need to be teaming up together and doing this? And then there were situations here where you'd got shops with no whites allowed going up in the window. Now that caused a big issue. That caused a big issue.
Dogs, no blacks, no Irish. That was a big thing, like, you know what I mean? But look how far it's come now, like, you know what I mean?
Springbank here, Springbank West. That's exactly what happened. You know, they put a big thing up. No whites allowed, and the shop was gone in 2 weeks. It blew up locally, and it is what it is. And thankfully, it hasn't happened since. But again, it goes.
On you go, James. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, again, it just flips back to you, JP, like you say, where it seems to be one rule for one and one for another, you know?
100%.
And
100%.
if you imagine like a British shopkeeper putting up a sign that was saying, you know, discriminate against anyone, whether it's colour of skin or whether it's their religion or...
But they're just copying. They're just copying things that we've done to them in the past. That's all they're doing. They're just copying things that we've done to them, bud. It's fucking it's a bad situation we're in. But the thing is, but the British people, like families and that now, they're only probably about 2 people with 2 kids, if you know what I mean. All these incoming countries and all that, they're like having 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 wains. So we're all going to get outbred in the end, mate. That's the way it's happening. It's happened in Ireland as well. That's what happened in the north. They've been outbred, so that's how Sinn Féin have got in. I'm not saying anything again. It's bad about it. It's just I'm just talking about that's what's happening, and it's going to happen in the UK, mate.
I can tell you from my own personal experience up the north, right? Look, it's a lot. It still exists. It still exists. Some sectarianism, right? But it's a lot more tolerant now than it was.
Aye, because they're no shooting each other and they're no bombing each other. They're just fighting against their own people now because of drugs. That's what's happened. They've taken the war.
A lot more tolerant. I have mates of mine that are of Protestant heritage. When I lived up in Belfast, I still speak to them to this day. Like, you know what I mean? I used to meet them for a few drinks when I used to drink. I used to meet them for a few sniffs. I used to have a chat and a crack and a laugh with them, like, you know what I mean?
The old Charlie chatter.
But they're good friends of mine, like, I would have.
I'm not saying that, mate. I'm just saying the old Charlie. Get 30 people and chat them.
But that's the story, like. Do you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, look, you're Irish. The only place I had anything used against me was Irish. Was in the countryside. I was on the countryside pub one time up the north in Moira, and that was it. Inside the city centres in Belfast and all them places, never. Oh, you're Irish, I'm Protestant. Oh yeah, good crack. You know what I mean?
You go to the middle of nowhere and some big farmer wants to battle you.
They were the ones that had an issue with it. They were the ones that had an issue with it. The ones that are about 10 years behind, stuck in the past, you know what I mean?
Aye. But you see, there's a lot of people growing up in Ireland and all the UK now that have grown up without the troubles. So their generation now, you know what I mean? There could be people that have grown up without the troubles now that are 20, 23-year-old or something, you know what I'm talking about? So there's generations now that haven't grown up with it. But fuck me, I would really wouldn't like for us to go to war at this present time. Because everybody would be a conscientious objector, mate. They would all be like,
I have family members up there that lived through the troubles, and when they think of it now to this day, they look back and say it was a waste of time.
All wars are, when you look back. All wars are a waste of time when you look back, mate.
Yeah, but that's exactly it. So, like, what's the point of carrying something on if it was a waste of time? You understand?
I know, mate, but it's religion, mate. It's just religion. People want to kill each other.
There's a lot more going on in Ireland now than Catholic and Protestant. I can promise you that. There's a lot more issues in Ireland than Catholic and Protestant.
Yeah, damn right. And I think that's the thing as well. I think, like, there's so much history and war and conflict that's born out of religion. But you've got to remember as well, there's over 4,400 religions now. And if there is a fucking God, there's only one. Do you know what I mean? If there is a God, there's only one. So the fact there's 4,400 and odd religions, to me, again, just fucking blows the whole religious thing out the water for me, you know?
But even
what I don't understand.
The English and the Welsh, do you know the English that had the problems with the Scottish and the Welsh and all? That was all like, what? what was the point in it? Like, because you're all living amongst each other now anyway. You know what I mean?
No, it was today. Scotland was a different country. Wales was a different country at one time.
Yeah, but
England
you're all living
invaded.
amongst each other.
I know because they've been so-called integrated.
Exactly.
But so-called integrated.
So what did it achieve? What did it achieve? Like, what was the achievement?
I've already said that we've not got our own parliament. We don't get to set our taxes. We don't get to set anything. That's all done by fucking government in London, mate. So there's still a lot to go with Scotland, mate, when it comes to it.
That's
But
what I'm saying.
same here, Pirate, as well, mate, because don't think that the shit that you're having to deal with north of the border because of an English government in affecting English people in England as well.
I know, but you've got to remember that the English government really only care about London. London's a bubble, mate.
The only people that win is the powers that be. The only people that win, the normal average Joe, me, you, and everyone else suffer the consequence. The only winners are the powers that be. Let that be English.
We're just cogs in the machine, like we're cogs in the machine. We're slaves to the system, right?
Yeah.
And we are exactly where the fucking government and where globalism wants us to be. Like that is the way that the world is now fucking run, and the way that they want the world to run. And the fact that we can sit here tonight and talk about it between us, with next to probably no one watching, but big up everyone in the comments and who has. And
an English man, an Irish man, and a Scottish man. It's like a bad paddy joke, isn't it?
That's a joke, mate. But
but no, do you know what, boys? It's like I'm a realist at the end of the day, and I see the world for what it is today, you know, and it doesn't bother me where somebody's from or what the religion is. I think if people need a path in life, and if religion helps people to be a better person, then all credit to them, right? But for me, the problem, where we're at today, is the fact that we're bringing too many people in, too fast a rate, too many people of all different religions, cultures, everything else. You got to think, like, British culture now is fucking disappearing rapidly. There is none, you know, and rightly or wrongly, I get we've got the home nations, obviously, and there's no love lost, Pirate, like you say, between England and Scotland. We all know that, right? We all know fucking history. We all know everything that's gone on. You know, it is what it is, and there's always going to be that there. You're always going to have the patter and the banter around football and rugby,
of course, mate, of course,
everything else, you know. But the problems in the UK today and Ireland as well,
it's a lot more than just
devastating. And I'm telling you, like
the war on our doorsteps is coming in different forms, boys. It's not the old war; it's a new war, and it's a war fought by politicians. That's the war that's been fought now, like. You know
it's a war fought online, mate. It's all about data. It's all about online stuff, mate. It's all everything's online now, mate. All the wars,
it's a war amongst
are fought on there and all, mate. All the wars are fought on there, mate.
Yeah, it's not. There's no people going out. Look, the resources alone of all these countries from the mass immigration, right? The resources alone are running short. From the numbers are outdoing the resources, the numbers of people. So you're going to cause uncertainty, unrest, unease amongst the masses. And when that happens, that explodes into arguing, confrontation, this side, that side, there, this, there, that, this, that. Who benefits from that? The people that get to make the new laws to make sure that everyone falls in line with each other. We suffer the consequences when the powers above us then are sitting back saying, oh, look, I made extra few quid here, I made extra few pound there, and they're over here, and they're over there, and they're nice and calm and controlled because we brought in all these laws. You understand? The only way to go through Constitution is to cause unease and uncertainty. And when there's a direct threat to people from unease and uncertainty, they can rewrite laws and take down constitutions. And that's what it's all about.
I'm an anarchist. I'm an anarchist anyway, mate. That's just the way I'm an anarchist.
It's the anarchists that are giving the politicians the power, like that's what's happening.
Nah, never, mate.
There is like, it is interesting, like, it is
Look how many
interesting.
constitutions are after being squashed in Ireland. They're after bringing in a whole new laws over here, down to unease and uncertainty and causing eruptions amongst the masses. They're after bringing in whole new laws.
No, do you know what was funny? But John Paul, see that last you said a fucking something not that long ago, and it brought down the government.
Yeah,
and it was about to do with women and about how they were looked at as in the household. And Ireland fucking voted to have that law kept. They wanted that. They want the old ways. They don't want the new ways, mate.
I'm fucking telling you. I'm telling you, but look, it's messy here in Ireland at the minute.
Oh, I know. And do you know what else? Do you know what else I was laughing about? They were wanting to reunite. Northern Ireland's wanting to reunite with Southern Ireland.
Want to reunite.
But Northern Ireland's want to fucking rewrite the constitution. They want to rewrite the Irish constitution so that they can join. They don't just want to join just for joining's sake. They want to join with rewrite the constitution. It's fucking mental.
It's just, but this is a mad country, and the same as England. It's all up in the air now, boys.
It's going to be the thing is
like that, grabbing what they can and sticking it in the pockets. That's
capitalism for you, but mate. That's capitalism for you.
The reality of it as well, Parrot, is it'll be the same if it's not on your doorstep now, bro. It's going to be on your doorstep really soon. Do you know what I mean?
I stay out in the Midland area, mate, so it'll not be in my doorstep soon.
But that's a good, and I appreciate that, and I think as well, like.
But I used to stay in the city, mate. I used to stay in the city, so I know about the cities. You know what I mean? I stayed in a scheme, which is a council estate, really, but. You know what I mean? But I know what they're all about, mate. But
that's it. Yeah, that's it. I mean, like where I am here. Like this is my mother's house, so it's a family property, right? Where she is here, lovely area. Do you know what I mean? Lovely, no problems whatsoever. My house, right in the Beverley Road, Hull, literally, you know, right in the thick of it.
Is that downtown
different
Kabul?
Scenario, mate. Totally
is that downtown Kabul? Downtown Kabul.
but to be fair, do you know what? To be fair, like I said at the start, you know. Just where my house is and my neighbours, there's a lot of people who I know who I get on with, right? Because but there is that integration there. That's what I'm saying. Like, but over recent years now, at the minute, you've got entire fucking communities, big communities that don't speak a word of English. Do you know what I mean? And
but they're taking the worst house in there is. You know what I mean? So the housing people are just happy to get them housed in the bad areas because it's getting that house, these houses lived in, mate. I've been seeing things up the East Coast. I think that's Hull where you're talking about and further up. And there's like houses for 5 and 10 grand. And there's just rows and rows and rows and rows, like whole communities. So a property developer could just go in and buy all them for 5 grand each. He would get that back. But you're renting out to these people within a couple of months. The 5 grand he's put out, it's fucking mental, mate.
They had it here, talk about politicians. So a politician from Hull, you probably heard of him, John Prescott. Yeah, so won't get into too much about him. I've actually fucking met him a couple of times. But
it's funny when you get hit with the egg. See when you get whacked with the egg?
Yeah.
He punched the guy. If you flung a hook on.
Yeah. So he basically sold in East Hull. There's a number of like typical streets like what mine is, do you know, with terraced houses down.
Yeah.
Let's just say there was how should we put it? Questionable goings on in terms of his involvement in these properties being sold in the manner like what you're talking about now. To sell property way under market value and then move people into communities and stuff. So a lot of that's gone on here as well, and it does happen, and it will. Hare Hills in Leeds, where it kicked off on Thursday, I think is one of a really like deprived poverty area. So a lot of these people, that's why that community is made up of them.
Yeah, but I was hearing, see the voices I was hearing that was talking, they were all Mad Mancunian type voices. They were all British born.
This is what we touched upon earlier. So what sparked that off initially was the
bruises
Roma
on
family.
kids, bruises on kids.
But that's the difference, though. It was a Roma family. It was an issue that they took issue up with the police, that they were removing these children. But as well, you've got to get, when you're in a built-up area, so like in Hull, the way that it will get is these communities get bigger, right? And a lot of like the Roma community, they're police themselves. So it's almost like mafiosa type characters within a community that look after the community themselves, you know?
That's the way they work, mate. Yep.
But it's just the way that's what they know. That's what they've always known. That's been their life in Romania. So then moving to the UK, nothing changes. The community's built up around them, and they carry on living the way that they know and the way they've always known. So when you then get a situation like what happened in Thursday, which was sparked by the Roma family, but then you've got a community that's made up of 52% Muslim. All the people who were on the videos and recording and throwing the bricks at the police and overturning the police and everything else were not Roma. You know, the majority of those people were Muslim and British Muslim, you know,
Right. Yep.
and they jumped on an opportunity to then show a sign of force, basically, against the police and against the system, against the country in that way. And that's how I see it. Like everything I've seen, that's how I see it. Yeah, go on, JP, bro.
I was just going to say, Sharon, talk to you later, Sharon. Mind yourself. No problem. Have a good one. Thanks very much.
Who's that? Sorry. Oh, do you know what? Chat. I've not even been thinking the chat. We've been that into it, but
I usually sit and watch it, but I couldn't even see it there. I'm just talking a lot of waffle. Good one.
It's been a good one. It's after going on an hour and 50 odd minutes.
We'll wrap it up, boys.
What's that, man?
Before I head off, I want to say thanks very much to Tim Scott for coming on. Thanks very much, James. It's been a pleasure as always. Locke, Sean for jumping on, the General, Cuddo, all the boys. Fair play.
Yeah. Big up James, big up JP, big up the chat, Passat Man Cares, John Doe, and all the good Jeans Conan.
I'm going to jump on, right, boys?
JP, always a pleasure, bro.
Yeah, I'm going to jump on.
See you soon.
Right, I'll see you soon, mate. James, I'll see you soon.
Yeah, Pirate, hey, cheers for jumping on, mate. Good to have a chat as well.
Yeah, sound dope, pal.
But no, you take care, brother. And like I say, jump on anytime, mate. We'll be doing it every Sunday. But again, big thanks for Cuddo.
Mate.
Yeah, cheers, Pirate. You take care, pal.
Yeah, all the best, mate.
But yeah, people, big up Cuddo for jumping on earlier as well. Tim Scott, legend of a guy. He's come in terms of Tim's background and what Tim does. I think is what you know a lot of people should be about, and for all the right reasons. So I've got massive respect for Tim. Chat, I'm sorry, but I'm sure I can see. Let me have a look now if I put it on. I'm sure all the best. Cares, big love to you, Cares. Thank you ever so much for being here. Passat, Cuddo, Sharon, take care, Sharon. Who else we got? Conan, yes, John Doe, everyone else. Chat, sorry I didn't keep up. We've gone on. We've had our rant and we do what we do. But thanks everyone for coming, and we will catch you next Sunday. Take care, people.